Hi guys, welcome back to my kitchen. I've really been enjoying sharing with you some of my favorite recipes, and this one's another one. Super easy, super flavorful, and I'm gonna share my recipe with you, so let's jump right in. I have here a handful of fresh basil leaves. I do have a basil plant, and I do love basil on my marinara sauce, my tomato sauce. So I have about 10 leaves here. But if you are not too big on basil, you can by all means use maybe one or two, or if you have dry basil, I would say you can go ahead and feel free to use about a teaspoon of that. Same thing with the garlic. I have about 4 or 5 cloves of fresh garlic here that we're going to be mincing. You can use about 2 if you are not all about the garlic, but I enjoy garlic, so I'm going to be adding between 2 to 3, possibly 4, maybe 5 minced garlic in there. So have the onion here. We're going to go ahead and I've already diced a half a cup of onions here. We're going to be using some Italian seasoning, some sun-dried tomato pesto. I have some Himalayan salt. I have brown sugar in the back right there. We're going to be using some olive oil. I have here some organic crushed tomato with basil. You can use whichever you like. This is a 28-ounce can. We're going to use some oregano, some pepper, and some julienne cut sun-dried tomatoes to add there, just because I enjoy that. I'm going to have all of the details to the specifics of measurements that I'm going to be using for this recipe, but I'm going to jump right in and get you started on this sauce. I did forget to mention that I saved these crushed red peppers that I usually get from the pizza shop on my pizza orders. I'm going to use this also in the ingredients. I begin by heating up my pan to medium-high heat, adding about 2 tablespoons of olive oil and a half a cup of diced onions to start sauteing. You want to make sure that your onions are sauteed very well, almost to the point where they have that translucent color before adding in your next ingredient. I've taken my 4 cloves of garlic and finely minced them. And I'm going to go ahead and stir those in there along with the onions for about 30 seconds until those aromas start kicking up from the pan. I'm adding a 28-ounce can of organic crushed tomatoes with basil in this situation, but you can use any one of your flavors. It could be regular, or it could have extra ingredients if you like. It's all based on your preference at this point. As soon as you're done placing all of your crushed tomatoes into your pan, do not toss the can just yet, because we will be using that shortly and I will explain. My little helper decided to pop in with my supervision to help, and we are adding about 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. I did forget to demonstrate, but I also add 1 tablespoon of dried oregano into my pan. Just as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I like to save these little envelopes of crushed red peppers that I usually get from ordering my pizza, just because I do not use them on a regular basis. However, if a special recipe does call for them, at least I have them as a backup. And I just added about a pinch of that to my sauce. However, if you enjoy a little bit more kick, feel free to add more. Here I'm adding my fresh basil that I have chopped up very finely. However, if you do not have fresh basil, you can feel free to add 1/4 teaspoon of dry basil into your sauce. In my opinion, this is the secret ingredient that makes this sauce taste as if it was simmering on the stove for hours upon hours, and that is 2 tablespoons of tomato pesto. At this point, I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of julienne cut sun-dried tomatoes in olive oil. I am using the can of tomatoes that I told you guys to hold off to the side. I added 1/4 cup of water into it to remove any excess tomatoes that I had in there to add into my pan. Now y'all know we need to season the sauce. So we're adding some fresh peppers and some fresh Himalayan salt to go ahead and add some full flavor to this deliciousness right here. Now to add a little surprise to this sauce, I add about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and this is the final ingredient that's going to take you a little bit closer to heaven. That's pretty freaking good. So the next time you have to go ahead and make some pasta, this is a must try. I never buy store-bought anymore, ever. Not when this sauce is this good.